The cosmos is 13.8 billion years old, which is roughly 3 times the age of the Earth and millions of times older than humanity. Nonetheless, thanks to the wonders of contemporary science, we can trace the story back practically to the very beginning, to the earliest ever moments. Going back even deeper, however, is quite difficult. However, it is not impossible. Welcome to Z, and today we're going to answer the astonishing question, what existed before the Big Bang? Do you require answers to the major questions? Then why not subscribe to Z for more videos like this one and ring the bell for more thought-provoking information. The Big Bang Theory is the most well-known and largely accepted explanation for how the universe came to be. It proposes that in the beginning, around 13.8 billion years ago, there was an impossibly dense singularity that broke forth to provide reality with virtually everything that exists inside it. Planets and stars, on the other hand, did not appear completely formed. They are the result of millions of years of cosmic evolution. It's not something that can be broken down to a basic ingredient list. If you were present throughout the universe's lifetime, you would have seen basic elementary particles fuse into different more complex particles, atoms form into basic molecules, molecules combine into matter, and massive swirls of gas and dust combine into rock and ice. Stars, planets, moons, and asteroids eventually populate galaxies. This everything happened across a growing plane, which we know as space, and that expansion is currently accelerating. All of this means that there are several possibilities for how the cosmos might end. If the universe never stops expanding, the Big Rip and heat death, or the Big Freeze, are among the major candidates. Nonetheless, the Big Bang hypothesis is relevant for the very first moments, right up until the Planck epoch, the tiniest fraction of time at the very beginning of the very first moment. Of course, the Big Bang Theory is not without flaws. And arguably the most difficult challenge, or at least the most difficult to explain for, is what came before the singularity that started it all. Physics may very well explain how one single point might theoretically contain inside its infinite mass precisely everything that ever existed, which, more or less, checks out nicely. But how did that single point form? And, while we're at it, if that single point was surrounded by nothing at the time, was it also surrounded by something? Is there something or is there nothing? It's all really perplexing. Except, for some, it isn't, and there are several ideas as to what existed before the Great Bang. One of the simplest needs us to first undergo a seismic revaluation of what we see the universe to be. The traditional notion is that the universe is one thing and everything at the same time, based solely on its uni prefix. We don't, for example, live in a triniverse, which is a confirmed 3-tier world in which the triple nature is critical to how it operates. Instead, in our thoughts, the universe is the entirety of reality. Is that correct? Science has shown in recent decades that you don't need science fiction, divine inspiration, or pure guesswork to make a multiverse operate. Instead, we have brain cosmology, an ever-expanding science that today provides numerous variations on a general theme. Our world exists as a membrane suspended in a higher dimensional space that is occupied by at least one other, comparable membrane. In most models, the Big Bang was an event that occurred when our membrane collided with another, generating tremendous energy that initiated the beginning of everything. Meanwhile, in some other interpretations, there are innumerable brains in this larger space, maybe an unlimited number, implying that another Big Bang could be occurring somewhere out there right now, and once more, right now, and so forth. Those who are less enthusiastic with brain cosmology may argue that all it does is push the cosmic can down the road a little further. The overarching question, what came before, remains unresolved. Because, even if this is just one membrane among many, where are all of those membranes housed? And how did that happen? As a result, numerous self-fulfilling theories of the cosmos have gained popularity in recent years. For decades, there has been discussion of the Big Bounce theory, which predicts that universal expansion will one day pause and reverse, compacting the universe all the way back down into the singularity before another Big Bang creates another universe. However, modern scientists have refined that fundamental idea into countless, more complicated forms. For example, a model known as conformal cyclic cosmology, proposed by British mathematician and physicist Sir Roger Penrose, appears to suggest that a new Big Bang could occur, but only after all, or nearly all, matter has been spent and removed from the universe itself, which includes the eventual decay and disappearance of even black holes. At that point, it's possible that the conditions are in place for another Big Bang and the cycle to begin again. So, if right, it could suggest that there existed another universe before the Great Bang. And before that, there was another, all essentially subdivided by many large booms. In this instance, while we may see the Big Bang as a magnificent, uncommon, and rare occurrence, it is possible that huge bangs are normal, anticipated, and completely uninteresting. Advocates of the theory speak of cosmic eons. We're in one right now, but there have likely been many before and will be more when this one ends. In cyclic or large bounce ideas, but also in general, scientific thought is currently tending toward a modest adjustment in the perspective we should use when considering what happened before the Big Bang. For years, the Big Bang has been portrayed as the absolute starting point, but perhaps we might reconsider. Yes, it appears to be the absolute beginning of the cosmos, but is that the same as the beginning of reality itself? For example, there is ongoing discussion over the nature or location of time in all of this. Was time created at the Great Bang, or was it always present? If it existed before the Big Bang, and it's tough to argue otherwise, then the Big Bang couldn't be the beginning of everything. As a result, we'll conclude with what, strangely, is likely the most grounded option for what came before perpetual inflation theory. There is just one plane to reality as a whole in this long-debated paradigm, no extra brains necessary, yet several universes can exist as bubbles across that ever-lengthening base expanse. In this account of events, there may be boundaries to our universe, though they are thought to be far, far beyond the observable bounds that we know and can ever know. But, beyond all we are, there could be other universes, each with its own Big Bang-like events. Unlike in other ideas, these other realms are no longer immediately tied to us, and may be fundamentally different. But, if the eternal aspect of eternal inflation is correct, there are an infinite number of examples. There are countless more universes. We're here because this one has created the ideal conditions for us to arise, but many, or most, of the others may not have spawned life. They may, however, produce something other than life, some completely unknown phenomenon from our perspective. And, if these bubbles were still linked by time, we have still another explanation for what happened before the Big Bang, an unending stream of alternative universes leading all the way up to this one. Finally, science still does not have a solution to this topic. And some argue that it may never know the solution if such knowledge requires some type of non-human, higher dimension perspective. However, we do have options for the time being. It may be the collision of brains in a higher dimensional space, a rhythmic expand and contract of all things, a never-ending cycle of returning prime conditions, or the newest episode in a long, long history of universe creations. So, was it truly the start of everything? Or is it just one of many, stretching further back and forward than we could ever hope to see? Because that is what existed prior to the Great Bang. What are your thoughts? Is there anything we left out? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to stay up to date on our latest content.